Hi there lovely people at VegFest, my name's Joseph Davies and this is my practical guide to the whole food plant-based diet at home. It's achievable and enjoyable, and once you start eating this incredibly tasting and nutritious food, I'm sure you'll also agree it's undeniable. I have always loved learning, and I'm a strong believer in lifelong learning, and so it was no surprise that I went into a career in education. I've been teaching in secondary schools around the UK for nearly 20 years now, 10 of which I've been teaching food and nutrition. I'm extremely passionate about getting young people and all people into the kitchen, making real food, and I've seen how cooking can really transform young people's lives in terms of confidence, mental and physical health. This guide will show you how to cook dishes like this, dishes that are both nutritious, colourful, healthy, but also fun to make and eat. Now before we get stuck into this practical guide, I'd like to just set the scene a little bit by answering some questions that I get frequently asked by my students and other people when talking about the whole food plant-based diet. Firstly, what is it? Well, a whole food plant-based diet is one that consists of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, and contains few or no animal products. I'm plant exclusive. I follow a vegan diet and have done for over a year now, but I've also been a flexitarian, and I understand that everyone is coming from a different place. This is a non-judgmental space. I just want to encourage everybody to cook more whole plant food. It's better for them and for the planet. Now, there's 4 great reasons to choose whole food plant-based. The first is that it's the single biggest thing you can do as an individual to switch to a plant-based diet or a vegan diet to reduce your carbon footprint. You'd also be reducing water and land use. The second is that over 70 billion land animals and 2.4 trillion sea creatures are killed each year, and obviously a plant-based food system and a plant-based diet would prevent this suffering and death. Thirdly is that it also has been shown to reduce or eradicate the 5 key leading causes of the increase in zoonotic diseases. And fourthly is the one I'd like to focus on in this presentation, which is human health. Sadly, poor diet is now the #1 cause of death and disability in the UK, and it's absolutely a contributing factor in the rising burden of non-communicable diseases such as obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer. And a whole food plant-based diet has been shown to reduce the risk of these diseases and also improves health and longevity. If you're worried about whether or not you can be healthy on a whole food plant-based diet, rest assured, this is a statement from the British Dietetic Association, reassuring us that a well-planned plant-based diet, and all diets should be well-planned, can support healthy living at every age and life stage. There's not made enough of this. With every additional portion of veg you eat, you can reduce all-cause mortality between 5 and 16%. That is just incredible. Your life is literally in your own hands and on your forks. Now, no matter where you live, or what food you like, or what style of food you like, or what diet you follow, the whole food plant-based diet is absolutely for you. Now, when we're talking about what is the best diet for human health, there is many answers, but they do follow a certain pattern. And one of the best places to look for optimal human diet and health is the blue zones. Here are the 5 blue zones. They also share other things in common, which I strongly recommend. These are the premise of lifestyle medicine, movement, community, outlook, mindfulness, but eating wisely. So let's have a look at 2 of these diets, and you'll see that in terms of macronutrients and composition, they're very different, but it's in their similarities where we can learn the biggest lessons. The Okinawan diet here, very different to the Korean diet, but both of these cultures have the longest and healthiest lived humans in the world, the most 100-year-olds, the centenarians. What do these diets have in common? 95% of their diet is plant food, plant-based, and the more you substitute animal and processed foods for whole plant foods, the healthier you and your family will be. Now, a lot of people say that veganism is expensive, I can't afford to eat whole food plant-based, but in its essence, fruits, vegetables, legumes, grains, pulses, seeds, nuts, these are some of the cheapest foods you can buy. You can buy them in bulk even cheaper. Sadly, economics are at play, and in the last 20 years, fruits and vegetables have gone up in price, whereas fast food, processed food has come down. But that does not mean that you as an individual can't enjoy whole food plant-based, even though the government absolutely should do more. Now, it's not about eating less, it's about eating more. There are 20,000, yes, 20,000 edible plants, and I'm on a mission to eat them all, and I'd love for you to come and join me. I have seen firsthand that young people and older people who aren't very confident cooks start to engage in cooking, and they really enjoy it, and it really improves their confidence as well as their mental and physical health. I want you to enjoy cooking too. Now, there are a couple of things that it's renownedly understood and widely understood that a small investment of your time when you're younger reaps huge benefits throughout your whole life. I'm talking about reading, writing, mathematics, riding a bike. I would like cooking, and I absolutely believe that cooking should join this list of essential life skills. What a great skill to learn. It benefits you every day, and also if you're eating whole food plant-based, it's going to actually benefit you in the future as well. Now, it will take a little bit of time at first if you've never cooked, but I will show you, as I have seen in thousands of young people that I've taught, that you can invest a small amount of time and follow a few little tips and tricks I'm going to show you to get whole food plant-based on your table day in, day out. I'm a dad of two, I work full time, my wife works, and I still manage to eat this food and enjoy cooking and making this food every day, or in the days when I've done batch cooking. So let's get stuck into it. Here's my practical guide to bringing the whole food plant-based diet into your home. First things first, you're not going to enjoy or easily transition into any lifestyle or diet without a nice cup of tea or coffee. When I started veganism, I drank every single plant milk there was, and I found my favourites, and I remember the first cup I had that didn't taste different. It was a great moment. You can have that moment too. We've settled on soya, on cereal and in tea, and oat milk in coffee, and we'll come on to soya a little bit more in a moment. Now, of all the wonderful, amazing flavours and possibilities, tragically this, which is largely a factor of less time, de-skilled, marketing, this is how we start the day. A processed, high in sugar carbohydrate, almost devoid of nutrition, and then a liquid designed for baby cows. So how do we go from this to something more healthful, more enjoyable? Well, let's firstly have a look at the Eatwell guide. You can see that that bowl does not represent this. There's no fruit and veg, there's no protein, and it's refined, not whole grain. There's work to do, clearly. This is what UK adults are eating. You can see here we're way down on fruit and veg, we're way down on fibre at 9 grams when it should be more like 25 and 30, and there's a school of thought that it should be closer to 50. Prehistoric man ate over 100 grams of fibre a day. Too much saturated fat, too much processed meat and processed foods. Another way to look at the British diet is through the NOVA system, where we should be focusing on minimally processed and processed food. So Group 1 would be fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds. Group 2, these are fats and oils that were originally and historically used to cook. Group 1. Group 3, foods are great. We're talking about tins of tomatoes, coconut milk, tofu. And then this new group, ultra processed food, which staggeringly is making up 51% of the British diet. And you can see here the predominance of these ultra processed foods. This is the 2019 Canada's Food Guide. It was the first ever guide made without industry, and lo and behold, dairy has been removed. It looks enticing, it's simple, it's got the scientific and evidence base behind it. Have plenty of fruits and vegetables, eat protein foods, and you can eat meat and fish and dairy here if you choose to. You can still optimize that dietary pattern and choose whole grain foods and make water your drink of choice. This is truly the way to eat well and live well. How do we go from here then? Now we've seen the Eatwell guide. First thing you could do, and this is what my granddad always did, and he lived till he was 96, was to add fruit. He had a banana every day. The other top tip that he told me was whenever he went up a belt size, he stopped eating biscuits. I think we could all learn something from that. But you can go a step further. Plant-based news, a great news channel, strongly recommend. They asked health professionals what they ate, and oatmeal came out on top. Now, you can't cook oats Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before school. Maybe you get up early, maybe you've got time, fair play if you do. But here's another way. You take some oats, you take some soya milk, because pound for pound it's a nutritional match to dairy. It's got the protein, it's got the calcium if it's been fortified, and you should choose a fortified version. But it's also got B12 and vitamin D, but it's got no cholesterol, no low and saturated fat. It doesn't have the animal suffering or the environmental footprint of cow's milk. Get some frozen berries. We'll come on to berries in a minute, but frozen is the great way to go, economical and speedy. Grit some chia seeds. You literally just mix the oats with the milk till you get a loose consistency. Add some fruit, and I love to add cinnamon and nut butters. Sprinkle with chia seeds. I do that a couple of times a week. My wife wasn't even into breakfast before, now she loves it. And you can finish it however you like. Fresh berries, nuts, granola, seeds. One thing I strongly recommend when transitioning to the plant-based diet is giving Dr. Greger's daily dozen a go. These are things that he, as a doctor and nutritional scientist, found are the most healthful foods. These 12 things you must include in your everyday. And it's very educational. Don't do it now because I went through the process just like he said. You don't need it after time. I learned some lessons. You should too. But look here, now we can really start the day off well. We can add nuts. We can add flax seeds. Great source of fiber. Great source of short chain omega-3. Whole grains, but you can even use the daily dozen. It's okay to have Weetabix and shredded wheat. These are 4% sugar rather than Frosties, which are 37%. But instead of having 3 or 2, why not have 1 and then fill your bowl up with fruits, nuts, flax seeds. You'll be improving both the eating experience, firstly, and secondly, the nutritional quality of your diet. Now, this is the first example of what Derek and his brother, Chad Sarno, the 2 brothers from Wicked Kitchen, as wicked healthy. This is food that tastes great, but it's also good for you. Now, unfortunately, we seem to have got to a point where we believe that only unhealthy food is tasty and healthy food is boring. It's just not true, as I'll show you, and as you'll experience for yourself the more whole food plant-based you eat. You've got those chia seeds now. Give chia jam a go. No one's got time to make homemade jam day in, day out. And also it's got a lot of free sugar, 50% sugar. But if you get some frozen berries or fresh fruits this summer, cook them out, add sweetness to taste, add a couple of tablespoons of chia seeds, and you've just got great fun jam. I mix this into overnight oats. I serve it on top of my girls' yogurt after dinner. Give chia seed jam a go. Great fun. Great tip. Now, you are going to need a little bit of equipment to cook food, but not too much. You're going to need a sharp knife, not an expensive one, but do get a nice sharpener to chop up all those delicious veggies and fruits. Get your kitchen clean, get a good saucepan, a good frying pan, and you are ready to go. Weigh your ingredients out before you cook. Get your ingredients ready, get your station ready. This is called mise en place. This is taught in every cooking school and every lesson at my school. And you're going to have so much more fun if you follow mise en place. Secure your chopping board, get a food waste bowl to keep your area tidy, and have a bit of fun with it. Be safe with the claw and the bridge grip, but then just, have a slice, dice. I like to look at each fruit or vegetable as a little puzzle. Now, if it's taken a long time or you're not sure, watch a YouTube video or send me a message on social media, and I'll be happy to help. And then you too can enjoy preparing vegetables with your mad knife skills. All great dishes, all great savoury dishes start with an onion. Not only are they cheap, they're affordable, they're the unsung heroes of the food world. Mix them with carrots and celery. You've got a sofrito or mirepoix. Give this 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes, much longer than you have been, and your food is going to taste a lot better. This is the base flavour, this is the sweetness, this is the savouriness. Strongly recommend getting this started, putting a lid on and letting it do its thing. You'll be able to eat tasty dishes like this stew, this pie, this stir fry. And this actually leads me on to my first hero ingredient, Tofu. So misunderstood. It's made of soya beans. And I think people have a bad experience with tofu. If it's poorly cooked, it's rubbery, it's bland. I don't like tofu. But if you had a bad chicken dish or pork dish, if you ate meat or fish, you wouldn't say, I don't like chicken. You'd understand it was the recipe or the cook. Give tofu another go. Firm is the most useful I've found. Okay, it's a blank canvas for flavour. Excuse me. Add soy sauce, add chili, add garlic, add maple syrup. Let it marinate. Let those flavours soak up. Okay, fry it in some oil, and you can have crispy, delicious tofu on your stir fries, in your curries. It's just a great ingredient. I love it. Another great thing to serve it with here is you could serve it with sushi. It's up to you. I love scrambled tofu. I love scrambled eggs. All you do is you crumble it up into a bowl, add some plant milk, some B12 flakes if you've got them, or some salt and pepper if not. And if you really enjoy the flavour of egg, I strongly recommend this ingredient. It's called calamanak. It's black Indian salt, and it really smells and tastes like egg because it's so sulphurous. A wonderful ingredient to recreate those egg dishes, those frittatas. Now a word on tofu. Tofu's great, this company. You don't have to press it. Pressing, all you do is wrap it in a tea towel and put a weight on for 20 minutes. It sounds complex. It's not, and it just improves the texture of the tofu. Gives it a firmer, meatier texture. Now this does taste great and it's pre-pressed, but it's not sadly made with calcium. It's made with nigari in the traditional Japanese way. And as tofu is a great source of calcium in the diet, calcium set tofu, like cauldron, has 4 times more calcium. So that's what I choose for my family and recommend to my students. Silken tofu can be made to use ricotta and also can be made to use custard. I loved custard tarts, pastel de nata, and I was thrilled when I found this out, and I really enjoyed giving it a go. My next hero ingredient is mushrooms. I love mushrooms. Another maligned ingredient. People say they're slimy, they taste horrible. If they're not fresh and they've not been prepared properly, they don't taste great. But that's true of any dish or any ingredient. They really are the protein of the future. They're packed full of nutrition. And actually you can grow mushrooms on waste coffee ground in 12 days. I mean, it's amazing. This is definitely a food we should be eating more of. Now this tutorial has definitely been inspired by Chad and Derek Sana of Wicked Kitchen, and you should absolutely check out their YouTube channel. And they've got great food in Tesco's. Get some oyster mushrooms. They're available in all the major supermarkets now, and then you're going to press them. Okay, get a pan ripping hot, get them in there, break them up a little bit into sort of steak-sized pieces, and then apply some pressure. And what's going to happen here, either with your hand or with a weight, is you can see that steam coming out. Now that water coming out is going to do 2 things. It's going to concentrate the savoury, meaty, umami flavours, but it's also going to get rid of that earthy flavour that people don't enjoy. And you're going to have something that's totally different to what you've ever had before. Look at this. Not only is it beautiful, it's savoury, it's meaty, it's tasty, it's exciting, and you can add whatever flavourings you like. I love to add pork seasoning because I used to enjoy meat. I didn't give up meat because I didn't like the taste of it. I gave it up because I didn't want to kill animals. I wanted to save the world, but I still want to eat great tasting, delicious, exciting food. Here's how you do it. Now this is a little pesto I made with frozen spinach and cashews because they're cheaper, and then I've just finished with a little pine nuts on the top. Love Italian food, and that takes us on to my next and final hero ingredient, which is cauliflower. It can be prepared in 2 different ways. This is a quick dish. You can make this dish 10 minutes work, 25 minutes waiting for the cauliflower. The first thing to do is to make the sauce. You can make this creamy sauce, like a carbonara. You take the cauliflower, and isn't it beautiful? Take the cauliflower, boil it for 10 minutes, and a little bit of salt, a bay leaf, and a couple of cloves of garlic, and then you blitz it with plant milk, B12 if flakes if you got it, salt and pepper if not. I mean, it gives you this super silky, creamy sauce, which can be used to add flavour and texture to mashed potato instead of butter, or can be used as a pasta sauce or like a creamy steak sauce. It's really wonderful. The next thing to do with it is to roast it. Get some salt and pepper. Get a little bit of cold pressed oil on there, and look at that brown, that crisping. That just tastes amazing. My daughter, she's 5, she sneaks into the kitchen and steals this stuff. Food can absolutely be both nourishing and delicious. Love to do a batch cooking, roasting on the weekend, couple of trays, fill them up with veggies, cook some grains like quinoa or whole grain rice. And this will make your transition to the whole food plant-based diet. You can rustle up meals very quickly with this sort of thing in the fridge. Learn how to use heat. Do you want it to be crisp and brown? Then you want a high heat. Do you want it? Does it burn easily like an onion, like a sota? You want it on a low heat. Use your senses. If it's steaming, that means it's at 100 degrees. Is that what you want? Do you want to evaporate that sauce? Do you want to simmer that sauce? Play around with it, have fun, learn how to use your hob, your grill, and your oven, and set a timer. Look at these onions. Given a bit of love and care, food can become transformed by great cooking. Water. Now, let's learn how to cook pasta from the Italians. For every 100 grams of pasta, use a litre of water and a teaspoon of salt. Now, I recommend weighing that out. That will be more water than you're using. I've upped my pan size, and it makes for a much cleaner, much more al dente pasta or noodle. Salt is an essential element of good cooking. We're allowed 6 grams a day. Sodium is actually important in the diet, but our over-reliance on ultra-processed food means we're having too much salt, which leads to issues with hypertension and stomach cancer. But a good sea salt, both in the rock form for finishing and the ground form for seasoning water and dishes beforehand, is absolutely essential. I also enjoy using smoked salt to add that barbecue flavour. Love herbs and spices. Bay, thyme, rosemary, these are hard herbs. They grow in the garden all year round. You're better off using whole seeds and toasting them and grinding them for more flavour. But don't worry if you just buy ground, just keep them fresh. That's cool too. This B12 flakes, also known as nooch, great source of B12 and zinc, but really they're a great source of umami, nutty, cheesy flavour, and I use them in that carbonara sauce you saw earlier. Get a cold pressed oil. I love olive oil, but I also like rapeseed oil because it can be used for frying and also can be used for salads. It's packed full of omega-3. And get yourself to Flavour School. This is something we do with all the kids, and it's been shown to work with adults and older people too. It comes from the French verb sapere, which means to know, to taste, but also to understand. And I think that's something we don't understand flavour and how to use our senses. So we get young people to, and you should give this a go, is you get rid of nice, disgusting, delicious, which is the only words we use. And Flavour School is the word between delicious and disgusting. And we think about food in terms of its textural properties. We pique our natural curiosity as humans to say, is it shiny, is it spicy, or it's salty, or it pops in the mouth like a pea, or it's got ridges, or it's crunchy. And look at all these wonderful words and whole food plant-based, 20,000. Let's start exploring food and go on this food adventure together. And you'll eat more diverse, healthful foods. Sadly, food has become a spectator sport. Look at the popularity of the Great British Bake Off and shows like MasterChef. But I want to get people off the sofa and back into the kitchen. And here's a few more helpful tips. Slow cookers are great. You chop up some veg, you stick it in there, you add a liquid like coconut, tomato or a stock, and time does the work for you. This also is a batch cook, and batch cooking is great. If you double up the recipe, it doesn't take twice as long. You can freeze portions or leave it in the fridge. And that's another thing about the whole food plant-based diet, is that food just lasts so much longer. I love recipe books, but who's got time for that midweek? So what you want to do is get yourself what I like to call back pocket recipes. These are recipes you've memorized. Now you're going to go slowly, and it's taken me time to get to where I am, and I'm still learning, and I believe in lifelong learning. But get yourself one recipe, cook it a few times, once a week for a month, and then you'll speed up so much, and you'll enjoy cooking it so much more. You'll be able to cook with mindfulness, cook with purpose, cook with your favourite song on, rather than constantly reading a recipe and then learn another one. Tins, these are the Nova Group 3 processed foods. Tinned tomatoes do a lot of midweek work in my house, whether it's a tomato soup or a pasta sauce. Absolutely essential to easily transfer to the whole food plant-based diet. I get veg delivery, and I'm absolutely grateful, and I know not everyone can afford this, but Wonky Food is more affordable, and it was going to go to Foodways. Old Box is a great company if they deliver in your area. I also get another veg box from out of your own backyard, and this is organic veg from your local area or sustainably sourced from organic farms. And it's fun to eat with the seasons and to look forward. For example, blood oranges I got yesterday, and I'm thrilled because I haven't eaten them for ages. I mean, you can get back to living with nature to reduce your food miles and improve the quality and taste of your diet. Frozen veg are essential, cheap, affordable, quick to prepare. In the winter, half a plate of frozen vegetables with some gravy on. My girls absolutely devour that, and you should too. Legumes are great, high in protein and fibre, low in fat. Red lentils are my favourite because they're so quick. You don't really have to soak them for very long, just 10 minutes, and they're quick to cook and they go absolutely creamy. And dal, love finishing dal with all kinds of delicious chili, coriander, nigella seeds, poppadoms, chapatis, whole grain rice. Love this dish. Isn't food wonderful? Miso Ramen. Miso available from all good supermarkets, but also if you do like ramen, go to the local Asian supermarket and stock up. It's cheaper. It's literally miso, water, some stock, and some aromatics like ginger and chili and garlic. And then you just finish it with whatever you like and some noodles. Stir fries are a great way to use up leftover vegetables. Snacking on the whole food plant-based diet. Bean dips are great. Hummus, we eat a lot of hummus in my house. It's fun to make bean dips. Anna Jones has got a great recipe for a variety of different bean dips online. You can check that out. You are going to eat processed meat. I used to love burgers and I still want to eat burgers. There are some good products out there. One thing that's great about the Beyond Burger, apart from the taste, is that they've actually ensured it's a complete amino acid profile and they've added B12. But if you are going to eat processed food, put it into that quarter of the Eatwell plate and then use frozen veggies to fill up the rest of the plate and eat some whole grains too. And enjoy eating whole food plant-based. Here's another great example. This visual guide, I just feel like these two are easier to follow. This is from Asmina. I actually won this book from NutriWeb the other day, which was great. I really enjoyed her talk. Her daughter turned vegan and she looked to the data and she's tried to make optimizing these key nutrients, selenium, zinc, B12, more accessible, omega-3s. This is a lunch I ate the other day. I was at work, so I rustled it up. I had the roasted vegetables. This is what I was talking about in action, really. A can of refried beans. Don't eat too much of anything. Enjoy it. Look at the colours. Look at the vibrancy. The sun even came out. It was so good. Delicious and accessible. Have fun with this. You do need to supplement 10 micrograms of B12 and vitamin D, and there is a growing sense that it might be a good idea to be proactive and to supplement from microalgae, long chain omega-3. But that's up to you. You can get it from chia, flax and walnuts too. And just enjoy the ride. It's a great community. I've been so humbled by how welcomed I've been into the community, how willing everyone is to help you. Enjoy it, have fun, don't be too hard on yourself. Whole food, plant-based, delicious, great. What a better way, this is culinary activism. Every time you're eating a whole food, plant-based meal and you're loving it, what a better way to improve your own health, improve the health of all life on planet Earth. Absolutely, you should respect your mother. Thank you very much for listening. I've been Joseph Davies. I'd love for you to reach out and connect with me on social media where I track my family's cooking journey, the nutritional information I've learned, and also when schools reopen, what we're cooking at school. I'm at the Plant-Based Educator on Instagram. Also, if you would like any recipes, if you've got any further questions, please email me at josephdavies@gmail.com.